Hello YouTubers, it's Jimmy Card Collector back again. I'm going to do a second haul of the very good. It wasn't one of my more popular shows last time, but I enjoyed doing it. And I decided I'm going to do another one. It may not be very popular, but it's going to be fun for me. So again, just to review, I'm going to present 5 players that I believe are significant, important, not Hall of Fame level caliber players, but certainly good players that contributed to the game, have interesting stories, and I want to share them with you. So I'll get the camera turned around here, and we'll start looking at some cards. All right, I'll try and keep this moving fairly quickly. Got a lot of information on these players, so here we go. First up is Paul Derringer. This is a 1939 play ball. A great portrait of him looking off into the distance. This was a guy that reminds me of Ferris Fane, who I mentioned in my first video, someone who couldn't control their temper. Paul Derringer is falling into that same camp. This is a pitcher with exceptional control who pitched from 1931 to 1945. On the field, he was known as the Control King was his nickname. He was a very good, he had very good command of his pitches, but off the field, he had trouble controlling his temper. Just to give you a couple stories, he had an operation, woke up in the recovery room and just swung out and clocked his nurse. She fell to the floor, was knocked out. He apologized profusely. The second story I have on him was he was in a hotel. He had been drinking, and he knocked on the door of somebody and started basically a fight with them, took a swing at them, hit them. Eventually it got broken up. He denied that this ever happened, but eventually a court ordered him to pay $8,000 to the plaintiff. So that tells you that the evidence was pretty much against him. Anyways, he was nicknamed Duke or Dude when he wasn't called the Control King. He was obsessed with his appearance. It was rumored that he'd change his clothes 5 times a day, or up to 5 times a day. But on the mound, he was in control. He averaged 1.88 walks per 9 innings, which just so happens to put him at a walk rate which was 3rd behind Walter Mathis, Christy Matheson, and Grover Cleveland Alexander. That's for any pitcher that pitched over 3,000 innings. So a remarkable control pitcher. He had 223 wins, a lifetime ERA of 3.46. He struck out 1,500 batters. He debuted in 1931 for the Cardinals. That was the Gas House Gang. In his debut, he won 18 games for them, including a 33-inning scoreless stretch. When you talk about making a debut, this is a guy that really did that. The Cardinals would go on to win the World Series that year. So he had 1 championship ring at the end of his first year in professional Major League Baseball. He went on from the Cardinals to pitch for the Cincinnati Reds. He won 20 games for the Reds in 4 separate seasons from 1935 to 1940. That was the peak of his career for sure. And helped the Reds to a championship in 1940, World Series championship. So 2 championship rings for him. Next, I want to talk about another Cincinnati Reds pitcher, a guy named Ewell Blackwell. This is the 1951 Bowman. This guy was called the Whip. He was 6'6", right-hander, and he threw from the side. So he had a very like submarine or sidearm kind of delivery. And with his 6'6" frame, he was a very intimidating presence on the mound. He pitched for the Reds mostly in his career, which spanned from 42 to 55. He had a lifetime ERA of 3.30. He was a 6-time All-Star, and in 1950, he was actually the winning All-Star pitcher for the AL, or for the NL. In 52, he won a championship with the Yankees. So he's got a World Series championship ring. In 47, he led the NL in wins with 22. That was probably his best year, was 47. He also pitched a no-hitter that year. Ralph Kiner and Campanella both said this was the toughest pitcher they ever faced. So you can bet that sidearm delivery was something, at least in 47. Vin Scully said that many batters feared facing him that year. Sports writer Joe Falls described Blackwell that year for one season, 1947, the most intimidating pitcher of all time. So a short career, probably shortened by his unorthodox delivery because he had arm trouble later in his career that shortened it. But in the post-war era up to about 1951, he was one of the more feared pitchers. That's Ewell Blackwell. My next player is Sal Magley, also called Sal the Barber. You may have heard of him because of his nickname. It's kind of a cool nickname. He played from 45 to 58. He played most notably for the New York Giants, although he's pictured here with the Brooklyn Dodgers in his 57 card, which was towards the end of his career. But he played for the Giants, Dodgers, Yankees, and Cardinals. So played in both the American and National League. He got the nickname due to his brushback pitches. There's a story that he was a very effective pitcher for the New York Giants against the Brooklyn Dodgers. He seemed to have their number. And I guess there was a story that Jackie Robinson got tired of the brushback pitches. And after he got brushed back by Magley, he bunted a ball down the first base line. And when Magley came over to field it, he laid Magley out with a good football shoulder, I guess you'd want to call it blow. And Magley got laid out. But Magley did get up from that. He did go on to win the game. So an interesting story there. Certainly pitching for the Giants, Dodgers, and the Yankees in the 50s, Magley was at sort of the center of the baseball universe for those 1950 New York teams. He had 119 wins, ERA, lifetime career of 3.15. He was twice an All-Star player. He won another World Series champion. He won a World Series championship in 54. He was the NL wins leader in 51, the ERA leader in 50 for the NL. He pitched a no-hitter in 56. So he had some good years through the early 50s. The interesting story about Magley is you probably are familiar with the rise of the upstart Mexican League in the late 40s, where the Mexican owner of the league tried to buy a bunch of MLB players to come play down in Mexico. And Magley accepted that offer, went down, pitched in 46 and 47 in the Mexican League with a lot of success. But when he came back to the MLB, he was banned for 5 years. So his career didn't really begin until he was 33 years old. And that's when he became a full-time MLB pitcher. And so, you know, those first years in 50, 51, and 54, he was at his prime. He also won 18 games in 52. So he started his career at age 33. So a remarkable story. In 56, he had a good year. That was the year he pitched a no-hitter. He's finished second in the NL MVP voting, also second in the NL Cy Young voting. Sal Magley. The fourth player I'd like to present is Vic Wertz. We're a little pitcher heavy in this production, but Vic Wertz is our lone hitter. He played right field and first base, played from 17 seasons from 1947 to 1963. 17 seasons, he must have been doing something right. And what he usually was doing was hitting home runs. He played for the Tigers, the Browns, Baltimore, Cleveland, Boston, and Minnesota. So the guy got around. He had a lifetime batting average of .277, 266 homers. He accumulated 32 career WAR. He was 4 times an All-Star. So certainly a very good player. When he debuted in 47, he hit for the cycle. He was top 10 in homers in the American League from 1949 through 1953. He was also in top 10 in homers in 56 and in 57. He had a .364 on-base percentage for his career. So he was a steady power hitter for multiple different teams. Interestingly, he was stricken with polio in 1955, but he came back in 56 and continued his career. In 54, he's most known for the fact that he was the player that hit the ball that Willie Mays caught over his shoulder in the 1954 World Series between the New York Giants and the Cleveland Indians. And Mays caught that ball over his shoulder. It's also referred to as the catch. I'm sure you're familiar with it and have seen it many times. I know I have. Wirtz said that if it wasn't for that catch, people would have forgotten who I was. So he was very proud of the moment, even though it was just an out for him. He died during heart bypass surgery. And that's Vic Wertz. My last player, I'm going to have to probably adjust my camera here a little bit. This is the 1947 through 66 exhibit card of Ralph Branca. I'm going to spin it around here. Ralph Branca was a right-handed pitcher, and he pitched for 12 seasons from 1944 through 1956. He's most famous, you probably know him, he's most famous for giving up the shot heard round the world, which was a home run by Bobby Thompson in the 1951 playoff game, three-game playoff between the Dodgers and the Giants. And the shot heard round the world is the famous call where you hear the announcer saying, "The Giants win the pennant. The Giants win the pennant." Ralph Branca was the pitcher that gave up that home run. So he and Bobby Thompson were forever tied together through that moment. They actually were friends, but Ralph Branca was forever tagged with that, for, at least in the eyes of Brooklyn fans, tagged with that disappointment. So he played most of his career with Brooklyn. The last couple of years he played with the Tigers. He was 3 times an All-Star, had 88 wins. He had a lifetime ERA of 3.79. He did miss some of his career serving in the military. He was at first, I'm sorry. He did not serve in the military due to his asthma. So I had that wrong. He was a friend of Jackie Robinson. On opening day in 1947, when Jackie Robinson was announced and came out to line up on the field with the other players, there were some players on that team that wouldn't stand next to Jackie Robinson, but Ralph Branco would. And so the two became friends. He would always stand next to Jackie Robinson on the field. His best year, he had an ERA of 2.67. He won 21 games that year. That was 1947, I believe. He was a starting pitcher in Game 1 of the 1947 World Series. In 1952, he pitched in Game 7 of the World Series. He's also famously noted as only the second player to ever be ejected from a World Series game. Apparently he was yelling from the bench and the umpire had had enough. And so Ralph was tossed. A good pitcher, a short career, but had a number of key moments that made his career noteworthy. Well, that's the end of my presentation. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Have a great day.